Hello and welcome back to Everything in Between, podcast number 7. Today's podcast is going to be 17. Fuck's sake. Right. Today's whole podcast is going to be dedicated to Black Lives Matter because we don't want to do anything else. We think this is the most important thing to be talking about right now on our podcast. So we're all going to talk about how we feel about how stuff's going around the world. And then, yeah, it all obviously started with this. Well, it's not started. The protest started now because of the George Floyd attack, but racism has always been happening and it didn't stop. So I want to hear your guys' reaction to the George Floyd situation. Yeah, obviously it's horrible, but I want to hear your reaction to it.
All right, who wants to go first?
You can go first.
Yeah, okay. So when I seen the George Floyd video, I didn't know what I obviously didn't know what it was. I follow a big famous celebrity on Instagram, and he had the video, and I was watching it, and what I seen was just one of, to be honest, it was probably the most disgusting video I've ever watched in my life. It had a massive effect on me, to be perfectly honest with you, and usually stuff like that doesn't, because of who we are and stuff like that. So, but then that got me thinking of all the other stories I've heard of blatant racism and police brutality and just not the social, what's the word, the racial injustice of black people, and how mistreated they can be and how mistreated they are, really struck a nerve with me, to be perfectly honest with you. So I started doing some reading and started looking up things that I shouldn't say not have any interest. It sounds heartless to say not any interest, but I didn't until then. When you see a man struggling to breathe, and a police officer, even if he wasn't a police officer, it was just another person, seeing someone die like right in front of you, even on the screen, will change you. It will change you. It's got to. And I started reading up, on certain things and watching documentaries, and because I needed to educate myself. I needed to understand what this is about. And obviously this is a massive major issue, not just in this country, in the world. Obviously, it's been happening for far too long, and there needs to be changes. But a part of me knows that there's not going to be any changes. It's just life. It's a circle. It's just going to go round and round. And I can't understand how in this day and age racism is still a thing. Like it just doesn't. Why do people judge people on the color of their skin? That bothers me. It bothers me a lot. It actually upsets me, to be perfectly honest with you. It upsets me a lot. Like, it actually hurts me to know that there's people out there who actually hate people just based off the color of their skin with no reason as to why. It just bugs me. It really does bug me. Before I finish, I'd like to just tell people, if they're interested, if they're not, that doesn't matter. Let me get it up. I should get it up first. I'd like to I'd like to tell people some things they can read or some things they can watch if they want to get a better understanding of what's happening. So if you'd like to, there's documentaries, The Uncomfortable Truth, 13th, which I watched the other day, by Eva DuVernay. That was powerful. That's about the social justice system and incarcerated Americans and stuff like that. Trial by Media, the Amadou Diallo story, 41 Shots, which is about a man of, I can't remember his descent now. I watched it last night, but he was in his apartment one day in New York. I think it was 1999, and these four cops come in, four white police officers come in and shoot him 41 times, with no reason as to why they did it. They reckon he had something on him. I don't understand that at all. That doesn't make sense to me. And those four police officers, they got off. They were found not guilty, because the trial moved from was it Queens or Brooklyn to Albany, and Albany has a 89% white population, whereas Brooklyn has a 80% black population. Just stuff like that. You can read a timeline of events that led to the 2020 Fed Up uprising. America's Racial Contract is Showing by Adam Sewer from The Atlantic. The MLK letter from a Birmingham jail. Is Nancy Pelosi the white moderate MLK warned us about by Danielle Moody Mills. There's a documentary called I'm Not Your Negro, which is, I think that's on Amazon Prime. That's incredibly powerful. If no one's watched that, please watch it. And there's articles called White Fragility, The Racial Contract by Charles W. Mills, Hiding in Plain Sight by Jane Junn, and something I can't pronounce, to be honest with you. I think it's Ta-Nehisi Coates by The Atlantic. These are only some of the things you can watch. You know, movies like Malcolm X you can watch. Black Klansman, which I just watched the other day, which I don't know why it took me so long to watch it. That's a powerful, powerful film, especially at the end. There's so many others, and you know, I just wanted to say my piece on it, and that I am actually upset and I am sickened by what is happening. Obviously, in a little bit, we'll go on to the protests and what's been happening there. But until now, that's all I've got to say on the George Floyd stuff. It's upsetting. I'll put it that way. It's very upsetting. So that's my piece on it anyway.
Yeah. Callum, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go. With the George Floyd video, as Jack said, it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I could not finish that video whatsoever. I still haven't seen that full video. I can't. It is fucking disgusting. And the fact it took so long for the police officers to be charged with what they did. The issue is, if there wasn't an uprising, they wouldn't have been charged. If there wasn't an uproar of protests and riots, they would not have been charged. And the police officer that kneeled on his neck, I can't believe at first he was getting third-degree murder. That's outrageous. In no way was that third-degree murder. That was second degree, and at a push could have been first degree. But obviously, because of that, there have been these protests in which people are fed up. There have been protests all around the world at the end of the day. And I think the government are finally starting to listen to people. Like, where was it George Floyd was? Was it Minneapolis?
Yeah.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Was it Minnesota?
Yeah.
They are changing their police completely. I read about this morning. They are changing their police completely. I'm not sure what it is they're doing, but it shows that these protests are getting through to people. And at the end of the day, there needs to be proper justice for people like George Floyd. There needs to be proper justice for people like Breonna Taylor. There needs to be proper justice for all the black people that have been wrongfully killed by American police officers and even British police officers, because it's not just America that this happens in. It's all over the world. And it's disgusting. And that's all I have to say on
that. I'm going to start off with one thing that I read when this all happened, and it was by Will Smith, and he said, racism hasn't gotten worse, it's just starting to get recorded more often.
I saw that. Yeah.
I saw that too. Yeah.
That's the first thing I'm gonna say. With the George Floyd thing is, I'm like Callum. I've never finished the video because I can't. It's disgusting, and I'm gonna go on another aspect. I'm gonna go a bit different to your conversation. I'm gonna go on people's humanity because we know a lot of people with humor and blah blah blah, but this is just a topic and a situation where humor or any slight jokes don't just have to stop, because that's one of the problems why racism doesn't stop. Just because you think you're not being racist and you're doing a simple joke, it's you're continuing on racism. A second thing is people who are moaning about protests and saying it's because of coronavirus, this, that, they're fucking retarded. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit if I get in trouble for whatever I say, because this is a topic that hurts me a lot, because I've got many black friends in my life and I'm not having it. People writing that stuff when it was that fucking war day or whatever in England, I don't give a fuck. Now I don't really give a fuck anymore, because when they were all there together, huddled up in like a massive group, the coronavirus wasn't a problem, but now that we're protesting for black people, you've got all the old racists and fucking some teenagers saying it's bad to protest and shit like that. So fuck them all. Starting off there. Secondly, racism. Like people, in my opinion, these police officers shouldn't be getting arrested because of protest. They should just be getting arrested because they're doing a fucking crime, and there shouldn't be need protesting for these pricks to get arrested. That's the world we're living in. You need to protest for black people, for people to actually get arrested. So that's another thing that's disgusting. They should just get arrested because it's a fucking crime. Doesn't even matter that it's a black person. They've killed somebody. They're getting arrested. End of. But that's the world we live in now. Again, we need to protest for the law to happen. I'm trying to like be calm with it, but I really can't, because this really does like hurt.
Yeah.
Because like one of my best friends like coloured, and I can't even imagine what it's a situation to leave your house and be like, am I getting judged because of my skin colour? Like that to me is absolutely disgusting, and I'm just like, I don't know, I can't actually get across my head how any person looks like a black person and thinks they're different just because of their skin. I can't. It actually makes me genuinely sick. I'm supporting the protests. I'm not going to say where I am going, but there's a protest going, and I'm going to be there in the front fucking line if I have to. I don't give a shit.
Me too.
Shit like this, it's just in 2020. Like, it makes me sick that this shit's happening in 2020. And for the idiots saying why are protests happening around England, black people are treated just as badly as in America. I don't give a fuck what people say they are. Black people they look worse by police. They get stopped more by police in England as well. I know, of course, in America it's disgusting, but it's in England as well. And I'm glad every black person is fighting for their rights as well in England, because it's, in my opinion, it's just as bad. It doesn't matter how many more people are dying. We're not comparing anything. One person dies in one country just because of their colour of their skin. That's enough for me.
Definitely.
This shit needs to end. Do I think it's going to end because of protests? No. I don't think it'll ever end, unfortunately, because there's too many racists in the world. Fucking hell, I'm trying to calm down, but I just can't. We're in 2020, and this shit is just absolutely ridiculous. And I don't get how these people are the people who are in charge, like trying to make you safe and comfortable. It's just like, I can't believe white privilege is still a thing. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
White privilege being a thing is and people that don't believe in white privilege are the most stupidest people I've got friends, I've got people who I don't really want to be friends with anymore after some of their posts I've seen saying all lives matter. You know what? All lives do matter, but right now they fucking don't, because we don't have to protest anything as white people. We're safe when we go out. What have we got to protest about? It's Black Lives Matter, and people that fucking put all lives matter. I fucking comment on their posts and tell them to go and fuck themselves, because it's fucking disgusting. It's just like, nobody's here trying to. I don't understand how people don't get this message. The message is people are putting Black Lives Matter just so they can be treated the same, and then I'm seeing shit saying all lives matter. It's just like, oh. And another thing, have you heard of Britain First? Some fucking shit thing they've got. Britain First. I don't know if it's a political group or whatever, but
I've seen it on Facebook. Yeah.
No, what is it? What is it?
It's like they put in the British people first, blah blah blah. But do you know what they put as a post yesterday? They put a fucking banner saying "White Lives Matter," and I was like, and do you know how many likes and retweets it got? So many.
Because it's all old white men. That's all they are. It's a bunch of old white British men.
There's people, me included, who need better education on the subject. To be honest with you, you know, as I say, I follow a lot of celebrities and a lot of prominent people on Instagram because I like their views and their ideas and stuff. And you know, they post a lot of stuff that is starting to educate me, and I'm sourcing out the material. I'm not just doing it through my phone, obviously. I'm trying to source out the material because I want a better understanding of what is going on. The All Lives Matter stuff, it's borderline kind of offensive in a way because
it is, yeah.
Like, I get it, all lives do matter, absolutely. Of course they do. Everyone's life is valuable, but you can't generalize it like that. It's one race who are being mistreated and they deserve better. That's what Black Lives Matter is. You know, White Lives Matter. I don't understand that. That bugs me. As a white man, I'm actually offended by that.
Exactly. I'm sorry for the black community because of shit like this. Personally, it's disgusting. These people are the reason the racism is never going to stop. Sorry, because they fucking pass it on to their fucking children. They pass it on generation to generation. This shit's never going to stop. With mentality like this, that's why this shit's never going to end. Because people like them, I'm sorry, it's just, I don't know, I can't actually put my process of thought. How do they think what they're saying is normal and not offensive? Because some people, like these fucking white supremacists, they think saying this shit is absolutely fine and there's no punishment for what they're saying. And I think racism, you can act on it, but words are just as fucking important as fucking actions. And what they're saying needs to be punished, in my opinion. You cannot stick up for White Lives Matter shit, or even All Lives Matter, in my opinion, because the problem is not with white people. We're not the ones who were going out and afraid of getting stopped by a police officer for no reason. We're not the ones who need to fight for anything. We might have problems, but compared to the fucking Black Lives Matter, our problems are the smallest, shittest things in the world.
Yeah.
I saw a good analogy of White Lives Matter. So, imagine there's a house on fire. Firemen come, try and put the fire out. A neighbour comes out of his house and he's like, well, why are you only spraying that house? Shouldn't be spraying all the houses. All our houses matter just as much as this one. And the police officer responds, yeah, your house is just as important, but your house isn't the one on fire at the moment.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy because it's true. It's true. Yeah, it is. I was when I found out we were going to do this, I was like, oh, "That's great. That's great. We're going to do this because it needs to be addressed. It needs to be talked about. You know, we're only a small podcast, but it still needs to be addressed." And then I started writing things down about what I want to say and how I'm going to approach it and stuff like that. But I didn't need to write it down. I was going to do what comes from the heart, and so. You know, it's a very, very sensitive subject for people because, you know, there are people out there who just don't give a shit, to be honest with you. You know, there are people out there, white people, obviously, who just don't care. It's like, oh, well, they see the protests and what's happening and buildings burning and police getting hurt and stuff like that, who just like, what about the police getting hurt? It's like, listen, I understand that. Like, the police should not be getting hurt. Buildings should not be getting smashed. There's people who are doing peaceful protesting, and there's people who are promoting violence and doing violent things. Because I'm not going to speak for them because I don't know them, obviously. But when one of your people get murdered in broad daylight like that, and they see that and they have such an overwhelming response and they're angry and they find out there's a protest, they go, well, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm going to burn stuff down because I'm angry.
Yeah.
And I understand that. It's wrong, but I understand that. You know, violence breeds violence. It's the way it
100%.
works. If someone's violent, you've got to expect the other person to be violent as well. That's just how it works. You
Can I,
know?
wait, can I give you my opinion on why I think they're doing it?
Yeah.
There's been peaceful protests in these past years. There's been protests asking for change, and that was all peaceful. And they did it in a calm way. They've been ignored all these years, man. They're just going any way to get listened. They want respect. They can't get it in the easiest of ways just by asking. They shouldn't even be a fucking ask. They've asked for it in the nice way. They're being ignored. They're probably desperate in the way to just get treated equally. Of course I don't agree with the looting, but I understand. I understand all they're doing. That's all I'm saying, because they are fed up and sick and tired of not being listened to, and they're doing whatever they can to be listened to, and so they should.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, there's been a lot of these protests when, you know, an innocent man or woman is killed by the police, mainly by the police. I mean, let's be real here. It is mainly by the police.
Yep.
And nothing changed. So, you know, you've got a lot of variables going into this one because one, we're all in lockdown. Two, the world's basically feels like it's imploding on itself anyway. And then three, everyone's seen the video. You know, not many people see the I think it was Breonna Taylor, wasn't it? Breonna Taylor. Is that her? Yeah.
Breonna Taylor, yeah.
Yeah, you know, what happened to her was absolutely tragic. What happened to all of them is absolutely tragic. The white supremacist who shot down Emery, or I can't remember his name. I should really remember his name. What happened to him is absolutely tragic. But it keeps happening. It's just a cycle. And I don't understand. You know, a lot of people are going to blame Trump, of course. Makes sense. I don't want to get too political. I don't want to get political on here because it's not the right time to do that. But, you know, this is happening long before that.
Exactly.
Happened long before Obama. It's been happening all the time. Look at the Rodney King riots. You know, that is a powerful documentary. LA 92 as well. I'm sure you've seen it with the kid who's being interviewed and he's saying all this stuff. You know, go watch that because that was in 1992, and it's almost 30 years later, and it's still happening. It just does not make sense to me. I don't understand it at all. Yeah, it does hurt. It does hurt me. I don't want to make this about myself too much. I'm going to try not to. I'm just trying to express how I feel about it. And it's just absolutely tragic. It's tragic what's happening in the world now as well. The police beatings and stuff like that. As I've said before, that's wrong. The looting is wrong. But it's happening, and the government needs to act as quick as possible on what to do with it. Because the problem is all the governments, you know, are all saying, just let them protest and then they'll get over it and it'll be fine. But what if they don't get over it and it's not fine? Then what happens then? This is different. This is different to any other protest that they've had. You know, we're all in solidarity with each other at the moment. We're all like praying for each other that there will not be any more racism. There shouldn't be racism anyway. But unfortunately there is, and that's got to be addressed from every single angle that there is. I don't want to make my suggestions on like get political or anything like that, but maybe teaching, it's going to sound silly because I'm not in the education system obviously, but teaching kids, teaching adults black history, stuff like that. Let them understand what's going on and why they feel so oppressed. Why they feel like the people that are meant to serve and protect them aren't serving and protecting them. Because while, yes, there are good police officers, of course there are. There's good people in the world, there's bad people in the world. It just so happens that police brutality is a major, major issue, especially white on black. And people don't like to admit that. People don't want to admit it, but it's true. How all them black people that died, I assume, most of them are from white police officers, and that's a problem. And yet, there's movies out there like Green Book who are meant to tell me that racism is dead, racism doesn't exist. Well, no, racism does exist, and it's going to continue to exist. And that's one of the horrible, horrible things about living on this earth at the moment, is that people will be judged on the color of their skin for whatever reason, and that's sickening, to be perfectly honest with you. So
Fucking out. So, protest-wise, yeah. I understand. I do understand people saying to me about coronavirus, there's going to be so many more infected. But
yeah,
after, this is my opinion. I know, not everybody might share it, but my opinion is right now, fuck the coronavirus compared to this. I think the coronavirus compared to this is not important. I know it's a deadly virus, but you know what? When the coronavirus ends, you know what's still going to be here? A lot of fucking racism.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it shouldn't. I know it's a really hard time to be starting protests and everything, but there's not a time. You're not gonna pause your life, accept racism for another few months till coronavirus ends. No, you have to act now, and now's the time to act. And people, I think people need to stop being selfish. I think people need to stop thinking about their fucking own lives and put themselves in a situation of being a black person. I know these old people who are all at home judging and shit are like, oh, I don't want coronavirus and shit. I'm saying old people, but you know what? Most people in England, sorry, but it's true. There's a majority of people judging the fucking protests.
Thing is, I bet most of them were the same people that were flocking the beaches the other weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
I think people need to fucking think of themselves. If they were the black people, just put themselves in their shoes, how much they're scared of fucking, I don't know, an easy example, scared of going to the park with their mates. You know what? They're probably like, if they see a police officer, they're going to be more scared than safe. I just think people are being so selfish right now with this situation. I had somebody on Snapchat today who is currently blocked. They put a story up putting more black people died killing each other. There was more facts about that, and I was like, oh my fucking god, why is that important? It doesn't matter that more have died in their own hands. It matters that the deaths that are happening by like a white man killing a black man in racism is more important. I don't know how people can compare this shit.
Yeah.
This person was trying to defend. He was like, I understand the George Floyd death was very tragic, but most police officers are really good people. In America, I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that. I've seen too fucking many cases of racist police officers to have any faith or trust majority of police officers. I'm not saying all of them are racist, but I'm saying it's hard to trust any police officer without proof that they're not actually racist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That person that posted that, I don't need to know his name or anything.
Yeah.
He doesn't
not even worth a mention, honestly.
No, it doesn't mean shit to me, but yeah, a lot of older people, a lot of older folks from a different generation will probably say, "Oh, well, there's more black on black crime." It's like, yeah, but you do know white people kill white people too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
People
this isn't what
kill
we're
each
trying
other.
to debate. This isn't what the protests are about.
Yeah, this is brutality on a certain minority. This is brutality on a certain race. Yes, black people kill black people. White people kill white people. Black people kill white people. White people kill black people. It's not really the issue here. Death isn't really the issue here. Do you know what I mean?
It's equality. That's
It's
the
equality.
issue. Yeah.
It's the fact that most of us all of us pretty much around the world seen a video of a police officer kneeling on someone's neck for about 10 minutes and him, saying, I can't breathe, and that he's calling out for his mum, who died a year ago to that day, I believe, apparently,
And all this was a fucking tax fraud, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, no, it was a fake note. Yeah, it turned out not to be fake.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, so $20 counterfeit bill. So if that was a white man,
He wouldn't even, he'd probably just be like, they wouldn't even probably handcuff him. This is the shit. Did you see that thing? There's like been stats about a guy who killed 40 people, yeah? He was white. They went to his house and just put him in the car and didn't even force him in the car. He killed 40 people. This man has got a fake £20 note. And he didn't, but imagine he did. That was it.
Exactly. And so people need to understand the stuff around it, I don't know how you can see that video and just be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's got to. It doesn't. I'm not trying to speak for people, but I'm saying it's got to have some sort of effect on you. It certainly had an effect on me. Obviously, I'm not an idiot. I knew there was racism around, and I knew things were happening, and But when I seen that video, it changed me a little bit in saying, okay, well, let's dig deeper then. Let's see what's going on, and it's just sad. It's just sad we're talking about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about it, especially us white people.
Yeah, we need to. I think as a white community, we need to make it our duty to make every black person feel equal, because that's what they are. And I think it's every single white person's duty to. They might think it's none of their business, but it is. It's the white people not making the blacks feel welcome.
Yeah, because
we are one race. We're not colours. We're not any of that shit. We're the same people. We have a different colour skin, but we're the same fucking people. It's time this shit ends. And if you think you're not racist, but you're just going to leave it out, you're just going to ignore all this shit, you're part of the problem because you're not helping society evolve.
Yeah, and we need to do things that help. We need to try and do what we can to help. And to be honest, I don't know what that is. I wouldn't have a clue what that is and what we need to do. There's a protest in our town on Saturday. We're going to go. A few of our other mates have already said they're going as well. I'm not saying it's going to change anything, but I'm saying that just by being there and supporting people, will help everyone say, okay, well, these people are with us. These people are here for us.
They give a shit. Yeah,
exactly. Because a lot of times with the Black Lives Matter stuff, they're all saying how it's just strictly all black people, which is fair enough. But when this George Floyd thing happened, everyone must have looked at it and went, no, that's just wrong. Which of course it is, obviously. And we're all
a lot of mindsets. That's all. That video has changed. Personally, for me, I've always been against racism, but I didn't really get involved. I didn't say anything about it. I was one of the people. In my opinion, I was part of the problem. I'm not a racist person. I've got friends who are different colours to me, but I would always just be like, okay, this is shit, but I wouldn't act on anything. But I think I'm not saying I'm changing anything, but I think I've never been to any protest in my whole life. This is the first time I'm going to go to a protest, and I think I'm not changing anything, but I think by showing my support is the most I can do at the minute, because I can't change laws, I can't do anything, but showing support and making everybody feel like that we're just one race is the most I can do, and that's what I want to do. So,
definitely.
The video changed my way of thinking, how we need to act, and I think it's changed a lot of people's thinking of how they need to act and help out.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of police lives matters as well, and I'll go back to it before. Obviously, of course, it matters. But to be honest with you, I have a hard time defending police officers at the moment. I really have a hard time comprehending police brutality. Like, eventually I'll understand that not all police officers are bad, because they're not. I know that, but just to see them stamp their authority when they're supposed to be here to serve and protect us and stuff like that. I'm not anti-police by no means. I'm not anti-police or anything, but it's just certain situations that kind of make you think otherwise. Yeah. You talk now, Cal. If you will.
It is really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a few people saying that, what can I do to help? Well, for starters, there are protests. There are protests all over the country, all over the world at the moment. If you can't protest, you can donate money to, charities like Colour for Change. I'm going to be donating a bit of money after this video. I'm going to be donating to Colour Change. And if you can't do that, then just sign the fucking petitions. Sign the petitions to get them laws changed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a bunch of links for all of this in the description for all the charities you can donate to, all the just anything you can sign, any petitions you can sign. I'm going to put all them in the description. I encourage everyone to do it.
Yeah, I signed the George Floyd one the other day. I did that.
I've been signing everyone, I say.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
Whenever if I see something on Facebook, I know it just says Black Lives, I just sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of
been doing the same.
Nice. Yeah. There's been a lot of backlash over the black square on Instagram as well. Not for us, I'm just saying, like, in general.
Yeah.
And I thought that was me doing my part when I did it. I thought, okay, well, yeah, I'm contributing. But after I posted it and I read things online where it says, well, what are you actually contributing to what's going on? All you're doing is finding a black square on Instagram and posting it, saying that you stand with Black Lives Matter. We've got to do more. We've got to do more. Absolutely. Now, I've never really felt this way about anything else before, to be honest with you. I feel like I need to do more.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to do more. That's just the way I feel.
Yeah, I'm not being disrespectful to anybody who did the Blackout Tuesday, but I understand that people do it. And most people that did it, though, are people who put it on their finger, but they're out there protesting, they're fighting.
Yeah.
But if
absolutely.
you're just going to put that picture on your Instagram and then not do anything, not get your voice heard, not do anything, is it really worth it, in my opinion?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I think the main issue with that square was people were tagging it with the hashtag Black Lives Matter, and that hashtag is for people to post stuff with information about stuff you can do. So that was just being spammed with just black squares and nothing else, no links to anything. I think that was the main issue with it.
Yeah, I did do the Black Lives Matter thing because I found out that use that for better information on things.
Yeah. Of course, do it. Of course, that's a good thing if you want to do it, but please do more than that. You might not think it, but protesting is so important right now in this day and age. It is so important because, unfortunately, that's the only way this is getting heard with protest. Nobody's obliging to the actual laws without protest. As Callum said in the beginning, the killer of George Floyd would not be in that much trouble if it wasn't for the protest.
Yeah,
it's the only thing that is making black people get heard. Protest. Unfortunately, that's the sad truth. Only protests are helping, but it's what we have to do.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minnesota, who condemned his actions, obviously he had to, and said he should be charged with murder, then nothing would have changed.
No.
Jacob Fry now is not a very well liked man at the moment for reasons I don't know why. I'm not trying to get into American politics here, but it's just the way it is. So the fact that it took him that long, and they were going to look into the video, it's like all you've got to do is watch it.
Yeah.
And then the autopsies came out saying he had diabetes. So okay, I got diabetes.
Doesn't mean
Yeah, there's no relevance there, is
Yeah,
there?
exactly. It doesn't mean
Exactly.
you're stupid.
Yeah, if someone put their knee on my neck and I couldn't breathe, did I die from a diabetic?
Oh,
You know,
man.
did I die from my blood sugar going low? No. They said he had coronavirus. Okay.
Oh, I read that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a new excuse for any bad thing in 2020 now.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
know, did he die because he had did he die because he had the flu or whatever it is? No, he died because a
Man,
police officer knelt on his neck.
he was begging for his fucking life.
Yeah.
Man, I don't personally. I've said this many times on the podcast. I know it's sick, but I can't know how you go through your head, how you think it's okay knowing you're about to kill somebody. I don't. It baffles me. It scares me. Like people who are racist, that scares me. That people actually have that mentality. I don't know what we can do to make this permanently change, because I don't want the protest to end in a month or two and then it just goes back to square one. But unfortunately, that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
They'll be forgotten, the protest.
Yeah,
and
it will. It will. Yeah. You know, again, try not to get political, but when our prime minister comes out and says UK isn't a racist, England isn't a racist country, you sort of go, well, to be honest, Boris, you're probably the most racist one of them all. So
Yeah.
of course you're going to deny that you're a racist when you are a racist. You know, and he says, no, we've got it all under control. It's like, okay, well, you say to us that Edward Colston's statue shouldn't have been taken down. Well, you should know the backstory behind Edward Colston. You know, 100,000
Yeah.
Africans or whatever it was, and 20,000 of them died by sea, and all the rest of them got branded with the company that he works for, or the company or whatever it was, you know. And he says it shouldn't have been taken down, and that's vandalism, and you will be charged for it. So okay, well, what crime did they commit?
Oh man.
To me, how is taking a statue of a racist from the slave days and throwing him into the sea? I don't understand. My brain obviously can't comprehend how that's a bad thing they did. That's a good thing they did.
I just love how they threw him into the same docks that his boats would dock at.
It's
I love that.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But that just, Boris can say what he wants, but with that comment, he's just proven. He might say it's vandalism. He's just proven he's probably the biggest racist in the UK.
Yeah, it just
He's
proves that he doesn't
sticking
care.
up. Yeah, I don't care what people are saying if it's for vandalism. No, he's sticking up for a person in a way that was a racist. I don't care. He might not be doing it, but in a way, he's sticking up for a statue that I know why he's on about vandalism, but that statue shouldn't have been up.
The thing is, people argue like, oh, this guy did loads for the economy. It's like, yes, he did do loads for the economy, but I have very high doubts you wouldn't go to Germany and see statues of Hitler, because he did a lot for their economy as well.
There you
You're
go.
not going to see that, are you?
There you
True.
go.
No, you're not.
It's
You're not. You're right.
Yeah, how is England meant to move forward with the guy like this in charge of the country that is supporting shit like this?
Keir Starmer said it best today. Yeah. Shocker, guys. I'm a Labour. I'm Labour. There. You know, shocking, right? He said it best today when he goes, it shouldn't have been taken down that way, but it should have been taken down a long time ago. And it should be put in a museum. And I thought to myself, that's interesting. And he said the reason it should be put in a museum is because it's a part of history and people need to know that happened.
Yeah,
it happened and it should never happen again.
Yeah.
But, you know, racing has been going on for 400 years. So it's not just going to stop. Racism isn't just going to stop after 400 years. It's going to go on for another 400 years, and there's nothing you can do. There's nothing we can do about it. We can protest, and that will make us feel like we're helping. You know, like maybe we can be the catalyst for change. But deep down, I know we're not going to be the catalyst for change. No one is going to be the catalyst for change. Black Lives Matter is a great group. You know what I mean? But it's just people looking on the outside looking in. People are like, what are these guys doing? They always think they're mistreated badly and stuff like that, whatever. you know, and it just there's always going to be racism. There's always going to be people who are brought up as racist, especially in America, you know, with all
Yeah.
this. And not to disparage the southern towns, I'm sure not all of them are racist, but historically, all southern towns are pretty much mostly racist, you know.
Yeah.
Like America does have the biggest race problem in the world, and I don't know how that can be stopped. I've got no idea. I mean, you know, again, without trying to get political, I mean, look who the president of the United States is. And he certainly ain't going to fucking stop racism, is he?
Have you
Because
seen
he's
his
a part
tweets
of
about
race.
it?
Pardon?
Have you seen his tweets about all this stuff?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't
He's
want to mention them. I don't want to mention them. They're the
yeah,
stupidest things I've ever heard.
yeah.
I don't know if they deserve to be mentioned, but you can mention them if you want. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna mention them. But what I was gonna say was, obviously, racism can't be fully stopped. But the only people who can move us forward are the people in charge who set the laws.
Yeah, no, you're right.
This is of course, as you said, if you've got a racist dad and you get brought up to that shit, that's gonna bring you up as a racist. Unfortunately, it is. But if there's less and less like laws that defend people who are racist, they don't give a shit. The laws do defend racists in some countries and in some things they do.
Definitely.
And it's time for maybe the fucking politicians to start changing this shit, because then maybe change can actually fucking happen.
You know, it's crazy how prevalent the movie American History X is today, and that was made 20 years ago. It's so, you know, when you first watch a movie like that, you go, "Oh wow, that's crazy." But then all you got to do is turn on the news and you see bouts of racism everywhere, you know. So it's crazy how movies that were made like 20 odd years ago are more relevant today than they were back then.
Yeah.
It's just insane. Like I didn't know there was a thing of racism, you know. I was late. I was late to racism. I had no idea these things were happening. I'm happy you know, I'm aware of what's going on and I can try and, you know, read and get a better education of it. I'm happy that, you know, I know not to ever say that word. Because when you're younger, you'll say any word, won't you? To be honest with you, I mean, when you're immature and you don't know what's going on, you're going to say really bad words, you know. And so I just wish things were different. They're never going to be different.
No.
Oh, I just wish they were. But yeah, it's crazy how prevalent most of the movies in the past are more relevant today than they were back then. So.
Yeah. But this podcast today, it's been like we're not trying to. We know we're not going to fucking stop racism. But this podcast today has been for whoever's watching, just to like be less of a dick in a way. Just if you're not doing anything, I'm not saying that people that don't do anything are racist. I'm just saying if there's more voices, white people, I'm saying if there's more white people supporting this cause, we might actually move forward one day.
Yeah.
That's what
Definitely.
I wanted to do this podcast for, because I know our friends watch. I'm not saying, of course, all of our best friends are coming to this protest on Saturday with us. But like, people who know us and not as close and stuff, we know some people just stay in their room and don't give a shit. But again, I'm not calling you guys racist. I'm just saying, come help out, because more voices, the better. If there's more people, there's more protests, there's more shit. You'll get with this cause is going to get heard a lot more. So the more, the better. That's what I wanted. Yeah, this is all I wanted from today.
I think Logan Paul said it best. It's not enough to be not racist. You've got to be anti-racist.
Yeah.
Yes, and you know, making the first joke on the podcast, I can't believe someone quoted Logan Paul.
I know. Hey, I
You know,
did not like him before. I'm going to tell you now. I'm a fan of Logan Paul. What he's doing, I don't give a shit. I am a fan of Logan Paul since all the shit we started doing. Huge respect to him. His brother is a fucking knobhead, but Logan Paul.
I'm so glad he got charged.
Same. He said, yeah, but Logan Paul, huge respect, and he said, we have to be anti-racist. It's not just saying I'm not racist is not enough. You have to hate the racist people. You have to despise them, and you have to not want to socialize with racists because they're fucking scum. They're disgusting.
Yeah.
That's
To be
it.
honest, I think when we hear someone say something racist, we need to act on it as well. Like we sort of probably need to say, well, I mean, don't say that. Like, why would you say that? That's stuff's gone on for too long now, you know. And I was just like, no, there's no need for racial slurs in this day and age. I don't really understand it now. You know, the protest on Saturday, it's not a marching protest, I don't think. I think it's just
it's not.
It's sitting in front of the town hall and sort of, you know, just being there, listening, hearing, because that's what we need to do. We just need to listen. We just need to listen, and that's the main thing, you know.
We
Saying that, I'm talking about it on a podcast, but you understand where I'm coming from, you know.
Yeah.
No, like there should be no fucking like physical like. I just don't want any violence or any shit like that Saturday. I just want the thing where we're all sat down in a community, listening, like being together, helping each other out. Because I understand the violence, but I just want to say this isn't about violence right now. This is about a change. Protests are to get your voice across, and so like as Jack's saying, we can learn from it. They're gonna say shit at protests that we don't know. We're gonna be shocked at some of the stuff, but that's why I want to be there. I want to, as Jack's doing, and obviously Callum, we want to know more of this shit so we can understand it more and be more like comprehensive. Obviously, we're with the cause, but we want to be comprehensive even more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as I said at the start of the podcast, I just want to learn. You know, I want to get a better understanding of what's going on, because obviously as a white kid, they don't tell you that shit in school.
No.
Do you know what I mean? They don't. They steer away from it.
I agree.
So yeah, I've obviously we've all sort of grown up over the last few years on it, and sort of tried to, as I say, get a better understanding, better education on it. And I actually get offended when I hear racist jokes now. To be honest, I actually do get offended. It's a strange feeling to get, you know, because it's offensive. It's very offensive, and I feel like I'm just as offended, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, things need to change. They do need to change, but if they will or not, is a different story.
Yeah. We spoke our piece on it though. If you're listening, I'm not going to say where we're from, but if you do know where we're from, please come to the protest and support. More people, the better. So that's all I'm trying to say. Do you guys have anything to add? I think I've spoken my heart with this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to keep. I don't want to keep harping on about the same things. You know, I've said my piece, and that'll do it. I think, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah, that's it. Please don't forget, it's not enough to just not be racist. And please, wherever you are, if there's a protest, go and show your support.
Yeah. Just, you know, make sure you don't get involved in the violence. That's not what it's about. It's not what it's about at all.
But yeah, go on then, Callum.
I'm not going to say my usual thing because this video don't care about any of that, but please just go to the description, check out the petitions, check out places where you can donate. And so with that, we'll see you next time.
See you later.